Alright everybody, I hope you're doing well. I'm going to kind of try and make this quick here. I just wanted to give my thoughts and a range review of this M77 from Zastava. This is a 308/762 NATO AK, or I guess a RPK, with its receiver type and its barrel length at this point. Um, and it is pretty exciting because this is a reintroduction of a gun that I wish I had picked up before when they were imported like 10 or 8 years ago or whenever, because these had come in for sale through Century Arms, and I just never picked one up. I really kind of wanted one, and I just never did, and I kind of regretted that. And so when I saw that these were being reintroduced, I was super excited because everyone I've talked to and everyone I've seen with the variant of the M77 absolutely love them. There's conversion videos of people like customizing theirs, or taking the thumb hole stocks off, because the old variant had a slant cut receiver and it did not have a chrome plated barrel. It still had the high quality hammer forged barrel, but it wasn't chrome plated. Had the thumb hole stock with a slant cut, and it only came with 10 round Serbian magazines. So there was a lot of hubbub around the old version of this gun that Zastava USA has sort of remedied with this model. So I'm going to kind of just talk about the gun, and I'm going to give an account of my range time with this, and then I'm going to give my thoughts on the gun and Zastava USA as kind of a company. So this furniture here is just placeholder furniture. This is actually a very beautiful set of gun wood. I really find it very appealing, this tiger maple stuff. I don't know how durable this is, or if it's as durable as the old surplus stuff. I don't know. It feels really light, but it feels hard because it's maple. But it has a beautiful burl in the wood, and I find it very appealing. I'm not a fan of this AKM style buttstock that they are introducing with their M70 stuff. I I don't really like it, and I think for scoped applications it actually hinders you. You actually, with this comb lower than the old M70 buttstocks, like the surplus types, or the ones that came in with the end paps, um, you actually have to get your head higher in order to use an optic with this style of AKM type buttstock. But times change, and people for some reason asked for this. I don't know why. I never had an issue with any of my end paps with the old style Yugoslav stock. But yeah, it takes this AKM style buttstock or any Yugo furniture in the back because it has a standard stock trunnion, which is a big improvement from the old M70s. Has the heavy duty RPK receiver, 1.5 millimeter, stamped with the bulged barrel trunnion. Has a heavy duty top cover. Has the button on the side for the grenade launching capability, so your top cover doesn't blow off, but it helps aid in disassembly. So I can push that in, push my recoil guide in, and off it goes. And then when I want to put this back on, I just hold that down, I push the button, and then I just kind of guide it forward with my thumb. I don't let it slam into the thing. And yeah, it takes, like, it's way easier to disassemble this and put this back together than a typical AKM, just because of that button feature. So it's nice that they include it. It has a scope rail for a Yugoslav style scope. And Zastava sells a UTG mount that is like a scope mount, and from what I've seen, they're good to go. People really like them. Nobody's had any issues with zeros or anything like that, so I think it's good to go. It's zeroed. It is sighted for 1,000 meters. Maybe with 308 or 762 NATO, maybe, but you're going to be hoping and praying. Takes standard Yugo handguards. The gas tube is a special one. It has a 3-position regulator adjustment, So it has the little metal tab that aligns it for your gas tube and your gas port. Um, I think it's a pretty slick way to hold a gas regulator on there. It's very Slavic method of maintaining a gas port setting. Um, the sling loop is in the gas block, or it's behind it, kind of like a Chinese style, the standard Yugo sling loop up in the front. The barrel is a high quality hammer forged and chrome plated barrel, which is an improvement over the old M77. Not necessarily in accuracy, because the old M77s were plenty accurate. It's an improvement in barrel life. So the chrome plating extends the barrel life of the gun. It has standard Yugo front sight, and it takes 14 millimeter left hand thread muzzle devices. Now the big yippee for me, aside from the stock trunnion and the chrome plating and the barrel, is the fact that they went with CSS spec 20 rounder and 25 round box magazines for their 308, because the original M77s had this little 10 round magazine, and people were like, for a while, were scrambling to get higher capacity mags, so they would adjust and modify M14 mags. Some people did other stuff with like other 308 magazines that they found aftermarket. CSS Spec actually stepped up and produced purpose-built all steel magazines for these giant guns. So when I say giant, I mean the barrel is almost 20 inches long. So it's a big AK. It's practically just an RPK without the bipod at this point. So the other thing about these mags, I'm going to kind of set the gun down here and show you, is that they're a 922R part. These are US made mags, and they're very high quality. They have a lot of stampings and a lot of reinforcement. The lugs are forged. I mean, the tab's forged. The locking lug is nice and beefy and solid. This is a big heavy mag, and I really love that. I like steel AK mags. I'm glad that I didn't have to deal with a plastic mag for a 308 gun, because that would be ridiculous and I feel like they would bust. So I'm glad they went with CSS spec. This was what people said was the gold standard for the old M77s, and I'm excited that they're using these. So I'm going to talk about the my range experience with this gun now. I just kind of went out on my land and set down at what I thought was 50 yards. I wanted to zero the gun, so I put a mag of mixed Norma and Winchester full metal jacket, and I think it was like the first 10 were Winchester, the second 10 were Norma, and then I had one of the 10 rounders that I put 5 rounds of subsonic 200 grain 7.62 NATO. So the Winchester was 308, or no, that was 7.62, and then the Normal was 308, and then the subsonic was 7.62 NATO. So I took this gun out and just kind of plunked myself down, used a folding lawn chair as my shooting rest, which was really unstable. The fabric backing that I was kind of just laying the gun on was moving around constantly. It was about 6 in the afternoon, overcast here in the Midwest, which means everything turns a gray color. And so my backstop was gray and brown. The cardboard I was shooting was brown, and I had about a large mixing bowl size circle with about a 2-inch dot in the middle. And I had to zero this gun on that, and so I ended up working it down to about 1.5 inch group at what ended up being 65 yards after I actually measured it. So from roughly 70 yards, I got about 1.5 inch group with crappy iron sights and bad lighting. I'm pretty happy with that. I probably will adjust this a little bit more on a better day, just to make it a little bit more fine-tuned. but for what it was, I just really wanted to zero the gun. It did need zeroed, and I'm pretty happy with where it's at. With a scope, I'm pretty sure I can do 1.5 inches at, because it was 1.25 inches, I'm sorry, at 70 yards, 65 yards. 1.25 inches at 65. I'm pretty sure I can do 1.5 inches at 100 with the scope. No problem. So I'll probably add an optic on this at some point. I just, I don't know. So I'm pretty pleased with the performance. The recoil was very violent, about as violent as like a G3 or a Setme, and which isn't necessarily super violent, but it was more than what I was expecting. And I realized I just had a muzzle nut on. I was like, man, this is like, why is this pushing so hard? I just had a muzzle nut on. I have a brake that I'm going to be putting on it. I just didn't put it on it yet. It's on gas setting 2, which is what you're supposed to break the gun in on, and you're supposed to use your first 100 or 150 rounds in setting 2. It breaks it in, and then you set it to gas setting 1, and then it's a nice, easy shoot. I'll probably do that premature. I'll probably go to 70 rounds or so, or 80, and then switch it to 1. I don't think I'll go to 100 because I don't want to put through this gun some kind of hot 7.62 NATO, and then blow its brains out on setting 2 when and damage something prematurely, when I could just set it to 1 and then it'll still run. And I'm confident in that because I put that subsonic 7.62 NATO, that 200 grain stuff, on setting 3, and it actually fed. So it just kind of farted the shells out, but it picked them up and fed them. So I was actually very surprised at the performance of this gun. It was very sort of an unusual test. But what the other thing that was interesting about that is the subsonic ammo was extremely quiet, even without suppression. It was like not suppression quiet, not suppressor quiet, sorry, but it was noticeably quieter than the regular ammo I was shooting. So that was, I wasn't expecting it. I figured it would just be loud like every other bullet, but it was actually like weirdly less loud. So yeah, that's the performance, the first mag through this gun. Took me 4 rounds of 5 shots to get this to the 1.25 inch zero, because it wasn't zeroed, and I was kind of pretty gung-ho with my sight adjustment. I'm usually very careful. I just kind of, went after it, and it took me a lot more shots to zero it than I thought I would need. So I ended up being way high right, and way low right, then way middle. I brought it up, went middle left, and then over slightly low left, and then I finally worked my way into the center and got a pretty good group. So that's the range report of this gun, and it was actually fun to shoot. Like, it's a fun gun to get behind. So my thoughts on Zastava Arms USA here. I appreciate that they bring in a variety of weapons in a time where pretty much Arsenal is just bringing in milled guns that nobody can afford, and everybody's clamoring for stamped receiver, small caliber guns like 5.56 and 5.45. Arsenal's not listening. PSA is kind of listening, but their quality is still not up to par. Serbia, Zastava, is just sending M90s and M85s over, and they've been doing it. These are re-imports for after so many years of them not being here. It's refreshing. The old guns were just fine, and these seem to be the same guns, just with, the M90 has better magazines now because they're not the Stanag crap. So I have an M90 on the table. And from what I'm hearing, aside from a few like quality control issues with like mashed up rivets here and there, and like I think I saw a picture of like a bolt carrier that had broken. Aside from like the occasional broken gun, these are very popular firearms. This company makes extremely popular guns, and I barely see, for the number that like I hear get brought in, you get very few rejections. So I'm confident in Zastava. I appreciate them bringing in varieties of guns, and the accessories that they bring in are a wide variety. They have side folding triangle stocks. They even have a drop in underfolder stock. Now, whether or not I like that stuff is a different story, but I can appreciate that they are kind of somewhat listening to people and bringing in things that will work for their guns that are not normal for AKs. Typically, with AK stuff, you're going to get modern tactical uh, drop on stuff or bolt on stuff, or you're going to have to buy surplus wood or whatever, in parts. Or you're going to have to get some contraband stuff over from the Far East that is may or may not fit. So the fact that Zastava is bringing over purpose-built accessories for their guns is really nice. Um, so yeah, it's just I can appreciate that. Um, it reminds me of when like the Chinese would send over Mac 90s and then they'd have like bundle packages of like they would sell the gun, they'd have a bayonet, they'd have a sling, they'd have like 4 mags in the box with it, and that was like the accessory packs for the gun. It kind of reminds me of that. Um, I'm not comparing like Norinco or Polytech to Zastava. They're completely apples to oranges. It's not the same kind of guns at all, even though they all are AKs. Um, I'm just saying it's reminiscent of that. The only thing that I can really ding Zastava on, and it's a couple different things. This modern made buttstock comb, I as I mentioned, I don't like this. I wish they would have stuck with their roots and made the standard issue Yugo buttstocks, because those are, I think, superior to this style. They give you a higher cheek comb, it's beefier, it's more material, it's more solid, and I think with this American material, there will be less problems with a bigger, stronger stock. I like the steel butt plates. I could take or leave the surplus rubber pad, but I don't like this type of buttstock. I don't like that they sell all their guns with like American pistol grips. I understand for 922R compliance, but they have American made stocks and stock sets. Why aren't they making their Serbian military grips here? Just bring an injection molder over here and just make them here. That way I don't have to have this goofy what is this? TD. Tango down. Sorry. I don't have to have this goofy Tango down grip that I'm going to throw out or probably just give to somebody as a stocking stuffer. I like that they chrome plate their barrels. That's a big improvement. It extends barrel life and helps a little bit with corrosion. But I absolutely hate, and everyone I talk to hates, these goddamn safeties. Zastava, if you actually listen to the American shooting community, this whole bolt hold open thing is a joke. It's a meme. It's not serious. Nobody actually likes this. Nobody sits there and looks at the side of this gun and goes, I'm glad there's a hole right in my receiver, because the FUD lore that ranges are going to make you hold your bolt back with an AK instead of putting a simple chamber flag in there, that's just nonsense. I've never seen that. I've been to a bunch of ranges and never had to hold my bolt back with any of my AKs. They just say, just put a chamber flag in it. This is FUD lore nonsense. This is distracting. This is awful and it's ugly. Sell your guns with normal safeties. Or, better yet, make enhanced safety levers like WBP does, or FB Radom. Because Krebs custom safeties are garbage. They have the most uncomfortable lever for their safety. It's like a U shape. and it cuts open your gloves, it cuts your fingers, and it's just not good. I remember when the Krebs custom safeties first came out, and this little detent here to go into your cuts on the receiver was at the end of the safety, and I don't know if they've ever changed that. I'm not a fan of Krebs safeties, even though they are drop-in parts for Yugos sometimes. They also have this stupid cutout. This is a joke. Stop doing it. Nobody wants it. Sell this type of safety for people in New Jersey who have to have this because their ranges are run by FUDs. Don't sell this as a standard part, because these guns at this point their value is lessened by this crap. It's not cool. People have to go after surplus safeties because they hate this. Let's say I go to a shooting match and I have a shooting stage where I have to crawl on the ground for 20 yards and then stand up. All of a sudden, my gun is filled with gravel or dust. And it wouldn't have been if it had a good safety on there. Or an enhanced safety, you know, like one of the little flip levers with the shelves. Perfect, perfect idea. Please don't bring this garbage over anymore. This is a dumb part. This is a joke. Nobody actually needs that. So with that rant out of the way, my final thoughts on this gun are I was extremely excited that they decided to bring these over. The last kind of ding on this gun is that Zastava doesn't import any guns with bayonet lugs. I don't know if they weren't allowed to, or if they just thought that, hey, you know, why would we keep this bayonet block on there and, you know, just cut the wings when they get over here so that people can use their bayonets. If I remember correctly, the M76 had bayonet lugs, and people could mount bayonets on their M76s. Why not do that with the modern Zastava guns? Why not put a bayonet block? You don't have to have the lug, just put the block in there. Don't cut it off at the factory. Block it out, and then when it gets over here, when they do the 922R conversion, they open up the mag wells, just make 2 cuts, and then you have bayonet lug. It's so simple. Now on this gun, it's not going to work because this barrel is, you know, huge. But on the M70s, why not? So yeah, I will probably mount a scope of some kind on this. I will not keep this furniture on. I'll be getting a muzzle brake to put on this. It's just, I haven't picked one yet. But overall, I am giving this, so far, pretty high marks. I really like 308. I like 7.62 NATO. I like big, you know, I like full-size rifle cartridges. That's kind of why I like 7.62 by 39 so much, because it's a fat bullet, but it's intermediate cartridge, so it's kind of itches both. It scratches both itches for me. I need intermediate, but I need big fat bullet because it's 30 caliber. I like 45-70. I like 30-06. I like 308. I like 50 cal. I like big bullets. So the fact that I have my favorite type of gun in a big, powerful bullet, it excites me, and I'm very happy. So, if I'm forgetting anything about this gun, I'll leave it in the comments. I'll post a pinned comment. But yeah, overall, very pleased. I'm glad that they're re-importing M77s, because it was a gun that I wish I had gotten before. But I'm glad they improved it. I'm glad I don't have to deal with the slant cut, and I'm glad that it has a chrome-plated barrel. And I'm glad it comes with these good mags, because these are excellent. Yeah, so I hope you have a great day. I'm going to show the M90 now, because I kind of haven't shown it on the channel at all. Here's what I've done to this one. I just put a PKM style stock on it. I finished the wood myself. I put a 74 style handguard on it. I put an enhanced selector on it. See, this is what Zastava should just be doing. That shouldn't be that goofy, ugly hole in the side. just put a safety selector that I can use with one finger. That'll up the value considerably. Cheese grater handguard, just because I couldn't find a laminate gas tube cover. I could take or leave these cheese graters, but this one, you know, it's not ugly. I fitted it well, and I actually ended up mounting it to the little gas tube spring that goes underneath the handguards, and so the one of the slots on either side has it like stuck on there, so it actually it doesn't move around. It's on there very well. So, in a Tabuk style flash hider. So, and this East German sling. I really like this gun. This is a soft shooting AK and 5.56. Oh yeah, it has the appropriate pistol grip too. I really like this. I may give this flash hider to the M77 and put like some kind of brake on this, just to make it even softer shooting. But this is a really sweet offering. If you're like, I want a NATO AK, but I can't find an SLR 106 because for some reason Arsenal is just refusing to bring them over. KVAR is not selling them. They're not even asking, I don't think, for 106s, even though that would destroy the market for AKs. Nobody would buy anything else. So it's nice that Zastava is bringing a 5.56 AK over, because these are very high quality, at least the ones that I've encountered, and this one is no exception. I'm very pleased with it. Shoots accurately, and it's been utterly reliable for me. And the parts are in great shape. I've had no issues. I'm very pleased with it, and it's kind of a cool looking gun. You know what I mean? It's this is my version of like a video game gun. I don't play video games, but like I see a bunch of pictures on websites or Discord or whatever, and this is sort of my idea of a video game gun. These mags are high quality. I like how robust this gun is, and I'm very pleased that they brought these in, because at a time when our evil dictators are banning ammo and making our lives miserable and screwing with our money, it's nice to know that I could still acquire a weapon that shoots a readily available cartridge. Just like 308, 5.56 is an American cartridge. It's still in military issue, and probably will be forever. I don't know. So yeah, this my M90. Like I said, I may put a brake on it and make it even more like a 74. I don't know. This is just a fun gun. Very reliable, very soft shooting. I'm very pleased with it. I have it on setting 1 now, so for what it's worth, if you're like interested in the gas regulation, it's been on setting 1 since 100 rounds in, and I've not had any issues. I use 5.56 and 223 in it. I had no failures to eject or anything like that. Yeah, that's this. I'll put them side by side here. Hopefully it'll. Oh God, it won't. There we go. So that's these guns here. The M77 I'm very pleased with. I think I'll enjoy it for years and years. And this M90, same deal. I'm gonna put the same safety on this M77 because the hole in the safety thing is just trash. Stop doing it, Zastava. Your guns would be so much better without this stupid safety I have to replace constantly. So yeah, that's this M77 so far. I got 2 big thumbs up for it, and yeah, I've shot others of this variety, other M77s, and I'd say in comparison with like a Vepr 308 or like a Saiga 308, it's definitely better than a Saiga. I think because of the Vepr having a longer barrel, the Vepr was more pleasant to shoot, but I don't think there's any kind of differential between reliability or whatever. I just think the Vepr was nicer to shoot, but I'm happy that we're getting a 308 7.62 NATO offering from a reputable AK manufacturer, and you know, we're still getting them, so that's nice. So that's this video. I will leave it there, and I hope you have a very cool day, and I hope you got if you've been on the fence about an M77, or you're like, man, I'd like to get a Zastava offering, you know, both my M90 and the M77 have been really good. I don't foresee having any kind of issues with this M77. I zeroed the first 20 rounds, and then I put 5 more mags through it, and I've had 0 issues. So, in case you're wondering what my round count's at, I don't know what that 100 rounds or 120. Not much, but 308's not cheap. So, and I'm not like mag dumping this. I'm just target shooting and moving and target shooting and moving, and but I'll mag dump with the M90. That's no problem. So yeah, that's this gun. It'll look a lot different probably when I do another update. But I just kind of wanted to make it presentable because it comes with like plastic furniture. I think it is Serbian handguards, but I wanted to add a cleaning rod, so I took an M72 RPK cleaning rod, just trimmed it down slightly, and fit it in here. But the way this works is the handguard actually guides it down into the bottom of the receiver, so it has to bend, and that's what keeps it in the gun. It doesn't come out because it's tight in there. You know what I mean? You can hear it. So this doesn't wobble or anything because this handguard has a hole that goes all the way through it, whereas the original one that came with it is just open in the top up against the barrel, so the cleaning rod went straight and got stuck up against the trunnion instead of going underneath of it, whereas this has a hole in the handguard, guides it down underneath the trunnion to its full length. So that's this gun. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope this was informative, and if you're looking to purchase one, I wouldn't hesitate. Yeah, none of my rivets are bad. Nothing's bad. Everything's good. And I will talk to you later. Bye.